We all know that India is on the brink of a transformative growth phase driven by a new wave of value creators. These forward thinking leaders dedicated to innovation, embracing cutting edge technologies, showcasing exceptional leadership will shape the nation's future. Acknowledging the pivotal roles of such value creators, Dun& Bradstreet is thrilled to present the highly anticipated summit, the Dun& Bradstreet G7 CR Technologies India's Top 500 Value Creators 2024, presented by JLL 63 SATS and Union Bank of India. Well, with that being said, let's begin our first session of the day. It's my absolute pleasure to invite on stage Dr. Arun Singh, Global Chief Economist, Dun& Bradstreet, to deliver an introductory session on pioneering the next growth frontier.
The contribution top 500 companies basically do to the Indian economy or India GDP basically. If you have to put everything into the number, we calculate a certain number using some metrics, what we call, all the top 500 companies part of here, and some are anyways on the way, we participate in a couple of minutes here. They generate income, three sort of income they generate. One, for themselves, what we call profit. And second, they generate for the employees. Basically, they pay wages and salaries. And the third, they generate income for the government, basically what we call the taxes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for an insightful keynote session on low code, a force multiplier in the era of AI. And for this, I would like to welcome on stage Mr. V. Charles Adaikalam, head of low code platform Zoho, to come on stage.
You can build applications today using prompt or voice or images, and you can also build applications that are very intelligent in nature. For example, it can predict fraud detection, it can predict how the sales is going to happen, and it can also detect the objects for easy for scanning even in warehouse and so on. So a lot of intelligence is added by default into the applications. And in short, like low code plus AI is the intelligent automation, which is what I would call.
We have a first panel discussion, which is strategic innovation for sustainable growth. And ladies and gentlemen, the moderator for this panel discussion is Ms. Preetha, Senior Director of Credibility and Business Insights Group, ESG and SME, Dun& Bradstreet, India.
There are very few companies globally who actually survive more than 100 years. And the thing that distinguishes one from the other is the kind of innovation that they have been able to do. Taking bold steps that nobody else has taken, having the guts to do things differently. So it's my privilege. I think we have a very distinguished panel out here, all of them market leaders. These are, ladies and gentlemen, the innovators. They are the value creators of today's India. And they are the ones who make us different from what the other countries are doing and the powerful situation that India is in today in terms of growth.
We came out with an Aspire document wherein we said that in the next 5 years, we would be making an investment of 1,70,000 crores, cutting across the traditional fuels as well as diversifying us into the petchem. And of course, transition fuel, as we are all aware, the transition fuel, we call the natural gas as a transition fuel, even though it's coming out of the fossil fuel, but the carbon emission of the natural gas is much lesser as compared to the fossil fuel.
Our pioneering approach is not limited only to products. We are not here to identify new molecules or new elements. Our job is to look at, in the home improvement area, what are unserved or underserved markets and how you can best service it. So innovation did not only come out of an R&D lab.
Customer today, if I talk about supply chain standpoint, today the customer expects convenience, it expects agility, it expects speed of delivery, and last but not the least, the visibility of the entire delivery or the entire value chain. And we all appreciate information, we all appreciate data points. So from that standpoint also, how can a customer order online through the app and get it home delivered, get it delivered at the nearest store, or pick at his convenient time from the store? So I think all those again become more and more customer friendly, and hence you lead towards more sustainability in terms of contribution towards being net carbon neutral.
At this point in time, we have a R&D or innovation lab, we call it in Pune, at the foothills of Bulshi, and we got 250 scientists, most of them PhD holders who are day in and day out innovating in that lab in Pune. We also have 2 more labs in Bangalore for the Rallis Agri-Sciences team. Now, but the bulk of the innovation is happening now more on the green chemistry part because of the fact that today I think chemicals as industry consumes or emits a lot of CO2 in terms of its chemical making. And therefore, the customers who are there are wanting to, and also correctly so, to more and more green products. So if you look at the way we're trying to do how we can minimize the impact of CO2.
We will now shift gears and move on to the next part of our agenda, which is featuring a keynote session by none other than Mr. Gaurav Deshpande, Chief Business Officer, 63 SATS.
While we are talking about innovation, while we are talking about Industry 5.0, it is technology that is fueling all of this innovation. And the urge of not getting out technologized, Mr. Batra used a very nice term, with the risk of, or the thought process of not getting out technologized, I think adopting technology is not an option. Okay? It is technology that is fueling all of this growth. It is technology that is helping us with various business models. And along with these business models, what is also getting introduced is multiple risks.
With this, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our next panel discussion. Digital disruption has a competitive advantage, where we'll explore how businesses can leverage disruption to stay ahead in the ever-evolving market.
We have a very eminent panel. So we have IT service providers, we have Aditya Birla Capital is a finance company, and we have a conglomerate. And these are the companies who are at the forefront of either digital disruption themselves, or they are enabling other companies to do so.
The recent case in India, just last week, when the Delhi High Court called the OpenAI for a 2 crore lawsuit, where OpenAI, without taking permissions from ANI, Asian News Network, and they use their information without permission. And this is a lawsuit going on right now, just in our place. So I feel that disruption is required, but as this goes the AI way, we need more controls and regulations to it.
The security and data is inherent in any, actually it is true for any industry, but in financial services, it becomes much more important because, no one wants to know what is my, financial holding, right? Because that is something very personal, so you should not be able to, you should not disclose it or you should not lose it. So I think keeping any aspects of data we want, how do we ensure that we are safe? Because this entire business is based on trust. The moment you lose data, you lose trust. So I think security is paramount, and then we will continue to do what is required to ensure that we meet all standards and see how we can even do a bit more than the regulator asks for.
If I look at the buzzword now, of course, it's AI. Everybody is talking about AI. Yeah, that's pretty much the way forward for a lot of organizations, because a responsible AI usage will benefit organizations in informed decision making, will benefit organizations in automating a lot of their processes, will benefit, and again, it's not necessarily to do with job cuts or any of that, anything of that sort. It's more about driving an organization which is effective and efficient.
We've done a lot of process map, right? Because again, being a traditional organization and having a lot of different businesses, we have a lot of processes across these different businesses, and we operate in more than 60 countries. And there is also a diversification aspect which comes into play here as well, right? So we've done a lot of process mapping, done a lot of automation around these processes and things like that. And that is what we've done within Wipro. And what I have personally observed being in Wipro since last 20 years, there has been a sea change or a drastic improvement in the experience, in the efficiencies, and in the productivity of the employees as well. So this kind of directly impacts all these parameters for the employees.
With that being said, it's time for me to introduce our next session, a keynote address by Mr. Rohan Sharma, Senior Director, Research and REIS India, JLL, on future of work.
For the organization as a whole as well, right? Productivity also entails part of being efficient. in terms of operations, right? Your workplaces would, as part of portfolios being, portfolios will ultimately end up growing in India, right? We continue to see that office story playing out so strongly. So as our business leaders expect that, portfolios grow in the country, they also expect workplace leaders to actually be able to drive value from that portfolio by being able to enhance utilization rates. So that will also be a key agenda item that will be there for workplace leaders going forward.
It's now my pleasure to introduce our next keynote speaker, Mr. Shailesh Haribhakti, Chairman of Shailesh Haribhakti and Associates, to share his valuable perspectives on integrated thinking.
Each of us has a role to play in this transformation, and all of us must play this role because nature has always been our greatest teacher. It shows us that resilience is possible, that life finds a way when given a chance. If we listen to her lessons and align our actions with her rhythms, there is hope. Hope for a future where all of us, with all the 6 capitals, can thrive and really get to the next level that we as humanity collectively must reach. Thank you.
With this, we transition to our panel discussion on leadership excellence in the next growth era. I would now like to welcome our esteemed panelists for the panel discussion.
So to begin with, you had a panel discussion around innovation and processes. Next up, you had a panel discussion around technology and digital disruption. And another key pillar, towards driving growth is leadership. So this particular panel has the topic which is around leadership is in next growth era. And I'm delighted to have all of these panelists here. And when I was sitting with them in an ice-breaking session, most of these people are homegrown leadership in their respective organizations, and all of these are very, very trusted, reputed, and innovative organizations.
I think being a visionary is the first quality, ability to craft a story which brings in the transformation, the sustainability, then the transformation in business growth. That's the first quality that I would expect a leader to have today.
I think the number one is you need to be agile. Okay, we heard agile with other panelists also. Agility is very important because specifically in the distribution channel spaces, the way our consumers are changing, if hotels don't adopt themselves, very quickly you could become irrelevant. For example, we saw about 10 years back how Airbnb came and became a big challenge in our industry, similar to consolidators like OYO and so on. So I think making sure that you be agile, keep an eye on what is the next big disruptor that's going to come your way, and change yourself. That's the first leadership behavior that you need.
Sustainability today is every leadership agenda, and it is no longer just a tick box. If our clients, when they used to select a space, always used to have certifications included into a way of selecting buildings. Today, sustainability is at the top of the selection criteria that they would have, and it is just not certifications, right? It is clearly evolving. Carbon credits are a big part of it. Energy efficiency is a huge topic around it. So not only sustainability has a seat in the boardroom and in the exec, but eventually, if we do not drive this agenda the way we have been committing to it, and it is not implemented, we will see a huge shift of workforce, which is really getting quite aware of the way the environmental changes and some of the social changes that are happening. We will see a huge shift of them away from our respective countries.
Let us conduct ourselves in terms of org structure, in terms of motivation of people, in terms of how we are contributing and practicing. It's like you can give them a fish that will feed them for a day. But if I am able to tell my team how to do fishing, then I'm kind of enabling them for all years to come. That's probably the change that the leadership need to bring in terms of traits that one need to possess for embracing the change.
It's time for me to now invite over Mr. Avinash Gupta, Managing Director and CEO of Dun & Bradstreet India.
So I think all of this really leads up to what we all would really hope that each one of us is a part of in terms of, I think Mukesh mentioned Amrit Kal 2047, where, you hear different numbers, but we all hope that, the value creators we are talking about here are much bigger, not only in terms of size of business, but in terms of value. And, there is a lot more value addition they do to the GDP in terms of the country. And, not only do we become the third largest GDP, which we hope to become in the next couple of years, we become much larger in the years to come. So I think that's the base of it. And in terms of the value creators which we are talking about here, these are folks, I think Vipul mentioned that we are talking about people over the last 5-year period. And, we started with the evaluation of 5,000 listed companies based on 25 parameters, as I said, and not only the traditional financial metrics which we all think about, but also some of the intrinsic value these people have created and changing the landscape, the corporate landscape in India.
Please put your hands together as I invite on stage Mr. Deepak Singh, Managing Director, G7 CR Technologies Limited, who will deliver the keynote session.
All the unorganized workforce, the only really identity card they really had was Aadhaar card. And the submissions on the Eastern portal are done using the Aadhaar card, which then basically talks to UIDAI database. And again, getting to UIDAI database is a difficult task, but of course, with working with Ministry of Labor, we managed to achieve that. It pulls up all the information related to that individual, their banking, the entire history of an individual, if they have a banking record, everything basically comes through. And that's how government is able to utilize this data. Not only to transfer direct benefits, but also to, run targeted campaign. This data is now being utilized by other ministries who are integrating with this database to run different schemes that may have for this particular population.
It's now time to unveil the latest edition of the premier publication. And ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. The 24th edition of Dun & Bradstreet G7 CR Technology, India's top 500 value creators 2024. Can we please have a big round of applause? Right, we are moving to the Dun & Bradstreet Corporate Awards 2024. For more than a decade, the Dun & Bradstreet Corporate Awards has been commemorating the outstanding performers amongst Indian corporates. And this year, continuing the legacy, the awards will be presented across 52 sectors to felicitate value creators in each sector. Adani Total Gas Limited, Apollo Hospitals Enterprise Limited, Bajaj Finance Limited, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, Blue Dart Express, Century Plyboards India Limited, Tira Sanitary Ware, Coro Mandel International Limited, Excite Industries Limited, Garware High Tech Films Limited, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Hindustan Foods Limited, ICICI Bank Limited, Indus Towers Limited, ITC Limited, JK Cement Limited, Mahindra and Mahindra Limited,
Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited,
PI Industries Limited, Schaeffler India Limited, Supreme Petrochem Limited, the Indian Hotels Company Limited, Trent Limited, TVS Motor Company Limited, Vedanta Limited, Vari Renewable Technologies Limited.
Thank you very much to Dun & Bradstreet for making this a memorable event. Talking with the other fraternity, people from the other industry makes it very interesting. We always think that probably we are the ones who are going through the very uncertain world, but it's cutting across industries as to how each one of them have been able to come out with their own strategies to take care of this uncertain world.
DNB is a value creator, top 500 value creators of India. So it has provided an immense value, kind of like, I guess like, it provided insights from various industry personalities, and especially on the topic of innovation, with an angle of sustainability. It was very insightful.
I was stunned by the quality of applications and stunned by the way corporate India has evolved so rapidly. And so on the jury, we were delighted to actually give the awards because the field was so strong in almost every category. And the achievements of people are so unique that the jury had a hard time.
I think India is in a phenomenal sweet spot, and so is supported and collaborated with supply chain enablement. I think a few things which separates India or makes it more differentiated is one, the digital adoption, sustainable innovation, the best in class practice adoption that we are doing with a very, very collaborative approach across the globe. So I think that differentiates us.
Along with these transformations, there are new vulnerabilities that are getting pushed into the environment. And it is the capabilities that we have at 63 SATs, which would help organizations mitigate these risks and ensure that they have a safe environment and they are well aware of what are the risks to the environment, what are the new age disruptions that could cause the environment to go off guard, and ensure that we are there to support them with the capabilities that we have built at 63 SATs.
Great opportunity to network with dignitaries and business leaders here, speak to them, hear their thoughts, exchange notes, and just a great event to be at, where you can. It's not just a networking event; it's also I would say a great learning event as well. A lot of experience that we take from here in terms of how organizations in India are looking at the future.
I think on one hand, Dun & Bradstreet does this excellent job of recognizing the value creators, top value creators across a given sector. But at the same time, when they do it, they also bring very contemporary topics of discussion, of relevance, and wherein they're able to get in people with relevant background, position, and stature. So therefore, it really become an enriching experience. You walk out with a smile if you're a winner, but at the same time, you walk out still with a smile because you've got so much knowledge.
A lot of takeaway from the event, especially for me, right from the keynote session, which was very informative, data-backed, especially how India can improve on the R&D and innovation sector. Good to meet a lot of industry peers and understand their point of view, how we can take India ahead in this growing GDP and economy.